Nexus in this bitch.
Whoop whoop.
We've got
Whoop
Nexus,
whoop. Shout out
Suicidal
to
Queen,
Dorian,
and
first
Greeny
one
in the
in the
back.
chat. Dorian's the first one in the chat.
Heck yeah.
I'm the first one in the chat. So ha.
You're not in the chat. You're on camera.
I'm talking, motherfucker. Motherfucker.
Greeny.
So I got that. I got these.
What up?
Would you like to make your first appearance officially?
Not at the moment.
Not at the
I
moment.
will gladly use my voice.
We got so many Hellraisers in this bitch right now.
Right. Oh, another one of the legacies is walking in here. Hey, Wilbur.
Is that
I
that
can be
way
both in
over?
the chat and on camera.
He said he could be both in the chat and on camera.
Well, I don't see you on the camera, so
Very delayed.
Oh, it's great.
my phone?
y'all go ahead and share the link out. Go ahead and get this
Hey,
link shared so we can get some people in this bitch.
grab your phone and
Nexus
pull
is
up
in
the
the
chat
chat
and
now,
share out the link for
motherfucker.
me. Because if I do it, I'm scared I'm going to accidentally leave this.
No. Count saying it's Nexus. I don't know that that's really Nexus.
That was Nexus stole his phone. I
I need
watched it.
evidence. I need evidence. I need to see him type it out.
Yeah, see, right here in just this room, you've got Nexus, Greeny, Jade, Suicidal Queen, and Wilbur, man.
And a dog.
And a dog.
Little fang face.
Right here, you got Lil Nitro and Candy Apple Fago.
Our other legacies in there.
I'm in the chat, motherfucker.
And we have another legacy in the house, but they are laying down.
Bitch ass pro and his stick. I'm fishing with him.
You actually have 3 legacies in that house.
Yes, you're correct. We do technically have 3 legacies in the house. One's sleeping and
Can a
one's
killer get a
growing.
hot dog? What's up on my motherfucking phone call?
We just
They
got
ain't
back
even
in.
any phones yet.
We're chilling. What are you doing?
Oh,
Waiting to
okay.
get some more people up in this
I
bitch
can
so
tell
we
we're
can
live
start.
when we
I still
Right.
got the list.
Greeny is currently sharing the link out for me because I don't want to take the risk of accidentally leaving this.
I'm in the corner here.
Yeah.
Wilbur's in the corner.
Yes,
I missed the
yes.
first
Yeah,
tweet.
yeah.
Hi, Victor.
Yeah, I know you did.
I didn't miss the first stream. Apologies.
They need to go on a toast.
Is there one of them cases of soda open currently?
Yeah, okay.
Honey, will you grab me one? I'd greatly appreciate it.
Anyway,
Thank you.
I don't want to sit here being bored for too long. We're gonna be watching this after the fact.
Apparently,
So
sitting here
fuck
with us
this.
is boring.
Yeah, it's going.
No, I'm saying it's gonna be boring for the people watching because we're almost 4 minutes in with no content.
Well, I mean, so far there's like
Granted,
what 2 people watching, and one of them's right here.
And one of them's right here.
What I'm saying is a lot of people watch these after the fact.
I'm back now.
Suicidal
You gotta
Queen
think
says as soon
we're
as she
putting
gets
on a show. You gotta think about the viewers, not the
Right.
people that are watching right now only. You
Suicidal
gotta think
Queen
about
says
all the viewers.
as soon as she gets done
Sure,
with what she's
link out.
doing, she says she's gonna hop in the chat. That way she can, talk here and be in the chat.
I can go get my chair. If
I've
you
got
want.
Hey, your audio and video are synced up now.
Right? If you want to, go for it. We
All
are
right,
doing
so
the philosophies of TTRPG again.
I have a very different philosophy of TTRPGs, so let's go.
well we have bullet points. Yeah, we have bullet points to talk about.
Still my face.
However, anybody watching, if you have other things that we don't have to touch on that you think deserve a mention, throw them in the chat.
Hang on. Can you come down here a little bit? What did you say?
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to everybody watching.
Okay, because I was
However,
having a hard time
the
hearing you
people
for a second.
watching can't hear shit because everybody in the background's being super loud.
It's just, yeah, this place echoes. But it's either I sit
So
in here with the echo or I sit outside with the wind.
the echo is fine. Just, tell our main homies to shut the fuck up for a minute.
Oh.
Hey,
I was fixing to give good content too, fucker.
What happened?
That's cool. I'm waiting to start my content. We're almost 6 minutes in.
I was going to tell you you
Don't
could
make
do.
me get out my hourglass, motherfucker.
I was going to tell you could do like a one time chance thing and do a cooking show with Nexus, but
I don't want to do that.
I see if you get my ribs again
Oh. I still hear you.
hey,
or my Boston butt.
I know it's little.
Go ahead. See if you get my double fried chicken
I've watched you make it
I
enough. I
want
can
to
instruct
make
Mandy how to
some
fry it.
for our game days.
or my chicken pot pie casserole.
I'll just have sister cousin con you into making it, and I'll just eat it.
Can we get some clarification on the
I won't
live,
make it.
cousin? Please.
No,
I won't.
That's not.
No, because I won't make it
That's
for
big
her
brother
anymore
cousin.
either.
What you
Because
talking about?
I'll automatically assume she's
That's
asking for
big brother
you.
home cousin.
Baby brother.
Anyway, can we start? We're at damn near 7 minutes. Can we fucking start, please?
You
Well,
got the list. I can't
I
start.
have a singular question.
Wilbur has a
Right,
question.
but I can't start because Nexus keeps talking shit. What?
He wants to know if he can sit in.
Yeah, absolutely fucking Luli.
I'll be sitting in the side. I'm wearing a
Get
mask
it.
so off
I
on
was
her.
like, can you get on camera? Because sister's
He's
like taking up the whole frame.
I'm concealing my face, so yeah.
He's covering his face anyways because he doesn't want to get me sick.
I'm currently sick off my ass.
Okay, like I'm taking up the whole frame too, but I'm like the only motherfucker out here. So
Right. Well, I've also, it's just a
anyway,
phone. It's not a laptop.
Let's put this thing on.
so last week we touched on player and GM types. We touched on PvP versus CVC. We touched on cheating, metagaming, player versus GM, the social contract, and why we play.
Correct.
So today, I figure the first topic we can cover will be the easiest one because it's the first thing we do in any game, character creation.
Character creation.
Did you take my fish fry paper?
I started quite often last time, so I'm gonna let you start this first one.
What did you?
No, we're gonna let the legacy
Ooh.
super special guest
Hold on.
start.
You get to start the conversation on character
On
creation.
character creation. What for? You
Yeah,
can.
what's your
Yes.
thoughts on
Character creation.
basically? I want to know basically what you consider taboo in character creation versus what you opt for with character creation.
What I opt for character creation?
Yeah.
Well,
What's your personal philosophy?
my personal philosophy for character creation is they're squaring up to fight over here. Hold on. Okay, so my personal philosophy for character creation is mainly just the fact that at the end of the day, you have to get into the character to properly play it. So there's no reason for you not to kind of, put a little bit of yourself into the character.
Right.
And
You
at the
see,
end of the day,
I
there's only so much the dice rolls can do. You're the one who's making the personality of the character. Now I just kind of let ball.
I agree with that. I think everyone's character has a little piece of them in there, at least when it comes to decision making. But more times than not, I mean, normally I'm stuck running NPCs, but I try to make sure that if I don't have, like, say I'm running a mod and we need some, you guys are trying to talk to somebody like at the newspaper office, right? And that's not covered in the module. So they don't give me a detailed NPC for that. So I got to come up with that off the dome. I try to make sure that the mannerisms of that NPC are so different from my own
Yeah.
that there's no possible way the players could confuse it with another NPC that I'm used to playing, you know?
Well, that's also a point of being different is the philosophy of creating characters as a player and as a DM. Because as a DM, you have to create so many more, and you have to be ready to create them on the fly. You don't really have a
You have to
set.
be able to distinguish between them.
Yeah.
Like you got to be able to run a conversation with two, three players, two, three NPCs, and then you have to be able to believably switch between each NPC in dialogue, believably enough to where the players can clearly tell who's talking just based on how you're talking.
Yeah.
We just got a little tidbit for from Suicidal Queen on character creation that a very big thing that you need for that is creativity.
Um, I would challenge that and say it depends on the system. If you're running like D&D, then yeah, it's going to take a lot of creativity because they really don't give you shit to work with when it comes to creating backstory and shit. However, if you're running something like Call of Cthulhu where it gives you certain questions to answer, that is a lot easier to build a backstory off of. And even more so once you get into like Cyberpunk, you've seen how detailed, as vague as it is,
You
you've
don't pick
seen how
nothing, you just
detailed
roll and
that
see what
life
you
path
get.
system is.
Yes, the only thing
Like
Suicide Queen's been
anything
able
you
to
could
play is really
basically,
D&D.
yeah, see, in like, again, with Cyberpunk, like anything you could possibly think of to put into a backstory for a character is covered on that character sheet.
Yeah.
It's vague enough to where you can fill out, who this certain person. And that's all we roll that randomly. So
And remember, when you're rolling up your character in D&D, you don't roll stats with a D20.
shout out to Strike. He's done that twice now. Just that I know of.
You know, I gotta tell you,
So hang on.
do you have
What? What? I
Right.
told you I'm recording right now. I will come back in there when I'm done.
While he's getting
And go
interrupted.
sit in there, watch your show. You got chips, you got soda, you got your tablet. I'll be in a little while. You're fine. I love you.
Good midday to anyone who's watching
I,
Dubai.
I literally told her right before I started setting this up, I said, I'm going out to record. I gave her a bag of chips. I gave her a fucking Fago. I turned her show on. I gave her tablet. I was like, you chill here. And as soon as I'm done recording, I'll come in. And she said, okay. How long we been? Not even 14 minutes. And she was just at the door.
it'd be like that.
Like the fuck, kid. I love
Oh,
my kids, but fuck, they don't listen.
yeah, she come in and I said,
So,
now it's
where
little
were
Nitro
we?
getting interrupted.
It's always Nitro being interrupted. No one seems to ever get interrupted on this fucking show but Nitro.
You know, you said
I'm gonna
that, and
start
now
talking in the
every
third
time
person like I'm
I'm
the
on the
rock.
show, someone's gonna interrupt me.
Good. See how it feels, fuckface.
So what's next?
So very locked in time.
All right. Do we have any other things we want to hit about character creation before we move on?
My biggest thing is just make it your own. No matter what you're playing, make your character your own.
True.
And don't repeat the same character for every game.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
I stopped doing that a long time ago.
I don't do that.
I wasn't even going to call you out, but okay.
Once or twice.
Although most of my characters are in some form, or some way, shape, or form, an asshole.
And a spellcaster.
In some way, shape, or
Even
form.
in Call of Cthulhu. And if we're playing Cyberpunk, where she can't be a spellcaster, she'll play someone with certain cyberware that can imitate spellcasting.
Basically.
She has to be a superpowered individual in every game.
It's like,
We need to play the, oh, is it Marvel or DC TTRPG you found?
Multiverse.
Then we can really be superheroes.
Superhero.
No, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna write a campaign. That's how you know it's gonna be the most boring campaign ever, because I'm gonna write it. And everyone's just gonna play geriatric people that live in a nursing home.
Let's go.
And the whole game is just living your day-to-day life until you die.
You know, Billy, when I was your age.
All right, I want my yogurt. Roll the d20.
Oh, but the-
I got a 1. They're out of yogurt.
Roll persuasion. I'd like to chew my
Mr.
meatloaf. Okay,
Johnson,
roll
we already
dexterity.
gave you your coffee.
One card.
All right. Next up on the agenda here, on the little crinkle docket, modules versus homebrew campaigns.
I think we all know my stance on this.
Well, the viewers don't.
That's true. Most of the viewers wouldn't. I do prefer homebrew campaigns entirely to the fact that I am completely biased in that regard because I've been making one for the past like 4 years.
And see, this is where you and I are exact opposites, because I've also been working on writing on my own homebrew campaign, and I much prefer modules.
I just love the freeness of doing homebrew.
I mean, you've got the same freeness with a module. The only difference mainly is I really don't have time to sit down and create my own fucking story with everything going on in life and everything. That's I don't have time to do it. Number two, I'm not that good at storytelling, so any campaign I write would probably suck. Okay, so what I've gotten really good at is finding pre-existing material. It'll give me the plot, it'll give me the basic story that I can work with, and then I just change it to suit my own shit.
Yeah.
I don't think I
And
really.
half the time, until I tell people that, they don't even know it was pre-written. So
Yeah.
they do now because it's been established that I prefer to run pre-existing material. But before that became public knowledge, there, like when we started Fantasy High, there was a couple of people that thought I wrote that shit. So I had to be like, no, I'm not getting tagged for copyright or plagiarism. I did not write Fantasy High. I stole it.
You stole it and adjusted it like a high schooler trying to write an
secondary
essay.
thing that I would like to add there.
No, because that's plagiarism.
Plagiarize.
No, like
So, what are some of the?
they find something and then they adjust it to, you know, fit their own word style. That way, it's not technically plagiarism. That's what you did.
no, that's plagiarism.
You were that kid, weren't you?
Somebody already wrote it. That is plagiarism. Copyright is when you copy it word for word.
Anyway,
So confused.
let's weigh out some of the pros and cons of each.
Ooh, that's going to be a nice section to talk through.
for me, the pros and cons.
Here,
of
we'll
homebrew-
start with homebrew.
Yeah.
We'll
The
start
pros
with
and
pros and cons of homebrew.
I have
Yeah.
one.
Yo.
Which side, pro or con?
Con.
What's a con for homebrew?
A con for homebrew. If you don't take the time when you write it and you don't think before you say you're ready to run it, a single player can destroy the entire thing right away.
Okay. That's a very good.
I still love you, Nexus.
Fuck you
I
guys.
still love you, Nexus.
Screw you guys. I'm already home.
You are home,
Hey, love. Your burger.
man.
So,
Mix the turkey
Oh,
with this.
I couldn't help myself.
Good. And
Kenny, I need a towel.
I'd say the
Grab one of the ones.
kind of counterweight that is
Floor.
I love you.
I love you
You guys
too.
doing? Jesus butt.
You were so.
Counter.
More dear.
Wilbur,
So
No, that is not a burger. That is.
since you're such a homebrew, Mark, I'm gonna give you a hard one. I want you to give me a con for homebrew.
a con for homebrew?
Um,
Yeah, it's
I
gonna
can
be a
give you
little harder
several.
for you to think of it since you love
I
homebrew
can
so
give you
much.
several. Because the first one, in reality, you have to get comfortable with the fact that there is rarely anything that is fully original.
neck. Roast.
Oh yeah.
Anything you do in homebrew is
Matter
going
of
to
fact,
be followed off of something else.
I'm gonna interrupt you real quick. I apologize. I'll let you take back over here in a sec. But that statement right there,
And there's some ham in
if you really think about it, there has only ever been one story ever told. It's just that that story has been told millions of different ways. But that story is someone is bad, they want something, the good guy stops them from getting it.
Yep.
The only story ever told.
Different iterations and all that. It's just all the same.
Yeah. All right. Continue. I apologize.
Oh yeah. I mean, and the secondary con is that homebrew just takes so long to write sometimes. And I've been working on this setting for 4 years. I have 2 complete iterations, 1 kind of complete iteration. That's the third era, and it gets to a point where you start struggling to find the resources to better the campaign setting. And
Like
It-
I'm gonna
yeah,
I'm currently I have a zombie apocalypse setting for Cyberpunk that's in development now.
He was talking about
yeah,
the game campaign. The general storyline is the good guy. You get the good people over here. You get the bad guy doing the bad shit. The good people go stop the bad guy.
Right.
Okay, so here's my question on that. All right, from the view of perspective, okay, you have 2 kingdoms that are warring against each other. Nobody knows why. They just know for some reason, for thousands of years, hundreds of years, however long, these 2 kingdoms have feuded and fought one another, countless wars, right? Okay, so if the current
Okay.
king don't know why, okay, they just know that these people attack me, I attack them, and so on and so forth. Nobody knows who's Hatfield and McCoys. Okay, so you have a paladin on this
Okay.
side. You have just say for instance, a cleric of the war domain on this side, or a barbarian, or a fighter, whoever their strongest is, and they go to fight each other. Who's the good guy and who's the bad guy?
I can tell you right now, just because no one in there knows, I'm the GM. I fucking know.
Anthony Purcell. Whoop,
Whoop,
whoop.
whoop.
Chapter
Shout out
16.
to Anthony Purcell.
No, I'm saying
Rocking it.
okay. So if you're in a game, You start to play in a game. This is what I'm getting at, okay? Say me or Wilbur or Jay or Greenie or Suicide Queen or Tink or
Oh,
whoever
hang
runs
on.
the
By the
game.
way, real quick, is the video quality good right now?
It's
Like better
decent.
than it normally is?
Yeah, it's decent.
Hang on 1 second. Maybe it's good enough to where they can actually finally see this shit. Hang on.
Appreciate that.
DJ. Nice. See Ouija. Humble.
Darby O'Trill.
Okay.
And then
And
Violent J,
ICP.
Charity up the top.
That's dope. That's fun. Now, here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If somebody else is running a game, okay, you're a player, and you're brought to the center of this conflict, and you're given you have to like your option is you choose this kingdom or you choose that kingdom. You're going to align yourself with. You yourself have to determine through your perspective which one of these kingdoms is the evil side and which one is the good side.
Appreciate it, Anthony. Whoop whoop. Um, you're offering those two options like those are the only options. Everyone knows in a tabletop role playing game, the options are fucking limitless. I could just remain neutral, say fuck this shit, and go home.
I mean, you could.
It wouldn't make for a very good game or a very good story, but I could do that.
Or you could do the route that you guys are
Like
taking.
i.e., I keep mentioning this, but it's the perfect example. Y'all weren't fucking supposed to kill Daybreak. Daybreak was going to be a very big villain, recurring villain for season 2. He was not supposed to die, and both your fucking groups killed him, which
He
is
should
why I
have
had to
backed
do
down.
what I
I
did
told
in
him to back
sophomore
off.
year.
Look, dude, I told him to back off, and he wouldn't. So I told him in character. I said, "You back off, or I'm going to kill you." I knew he was damn near dead when I hit him.
I'm like, man,
To be fair, Doyen wasn't supposed to kill Emily Among either.
and he did that shit twice.
She attacked. She was supposed to be a nemesis for the group. She attacks him.
I've
Hell, he goes into a mindless rage and beats her to death.
No, who was
I've actually never played Morton's List. I've never gotten to actually been able to get my hands on it, but I am aware of it.
Emily Among, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. And my
Oh,
mom was the one that said that.
however,
That's who
Oi.
she said it to, yeah.
I want to shit.
She did too.
Hello.
Yeah.
Mentioning Anthony's last comment here, Humble Among is giving away a copy of Morton's List on Habs. So go subscribe to that motherfucker if you haven't, and you can get details on how to enter that.
Yes, Emily Among is Humble Among's Ole is a character that was made based off of
Yes.
Emily, Humble Among's girlfriend. Yes.
We also have Humble as a cyberpunk character in our world.
Yes.
He's a
So we
fixer.
have Emily Among and Humble
Totally
Among
opposite. She would have
in 2 different games.
totally opposite.
I had to keep him from turning
ICP, hey,
chicken.
ICP exists in Fantasy High thanks to us too now.
If not, I'm going away.
Yeah, I'll eat the watermelons.
What flavors are there? They're all
Watermelon, grape, and apple.
You're only gonna eat the watermelon?
Anyway,
The other 2 flavors.
Okay.
What is wrong with
But yes,
Hey.
you're referring to Infernal Clown Posse.
What?
yeah. So now we need some pros for Homebrew.
Pros.
Pros.
Oh, Chris Watala, whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop. What up, Chris? Motherfucking homie in this
MMFWCL,
bitch.
LHRPG, and gang. Anthony Purcell, sorry, I'm lost in what y'all doing. Some RPG shit, I assume.
Of course, that's what we do. We are Juggalos, but we are a Juggalo gaming group, and the channel
We
is
are fucking
primarily
nerds.
about gaming.
We are fucking nerds.
We are the
We're,
epitome of the word
we're
dork.
probably the only Juggalo YouTubers that don't YouTube about Juggalo shit.
Why?
I don't think you're gonna find a single other YouTube channel that is Juggalos talking about D&D.
You know what?
Well, motherfucking unique.
However, if you go into our sit down playlist, you'll find an interview I did with Humble Among.
I'm going to
How's that for
homebrew
Juggalo shit?
overlord deity, like deity above all other deities. It's gonna be a motherfucking.
Do you have a pro for homebrew? Like a good thing about homebrew's pros and cons list. We're on pros right now. Nexus might have something.
Okay, so
How many? We're gonna say we did 3 cons, right? We did 3 cons.
Yeah.
fuck, I
You
had a
did
con.
1, and Wilbur did 2.
He's a prime
So
example for it.
I think that's what we'll do. We're gonna do 3 cons and 3 pros for
Right.
homebrew, and then we'll do the 3 cons and 3 pros for modules.
The pro, I can't really do the pros. I mean, I can give you 1, but I don't know how you would classify it as 1 or 2 or 3. An item versus being an item or a race or whatever. If the DM says, "Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's do that. Let's use this item. Let's make this a playable race. Whatever." And then it comes back that for the player, it is fucking awesome. They're mopping shit left and right. They're being able to make full use of all of their abilities. That is great.
Right.
The pros to it are no other player is going to know if there winds up being PvP. The other players are not going to know what this character's weaknesses may be, what this character's strong suits may be, what abilities they have, what racial features they have. They're not going to know about all this. That's a pro for the player.
All right. I just want to point out Chris's comment. D&D and RPGs are deep in Juggalo lore. That is so fucking fresh because if you have if you've read Behind the Paint, Violent J's autobiography, he mentions that when they were coming up, Jumpsteady was a GM and used to run D&D games that Jay and Shaggy occasionally played in.
Now, the pros to it is for the DM. The pros to doing like a race is they get to control what is allowed and what is not allowed to be put on that sheet when it's first made. Now, for an item, it can be a pro in many different ways. You know, a special, unique item. You know, it's that what would you call it? You know, what's that fucking term?
Well, I really want to stick with adventures for this because I've got a whole different thing we'll come to later that's rules as written versus homebrew. So this
okay.
one
See,
is
I did
primarily
not have
for
enough
adventures.
context. I not had enough context on that.
This one it's adventure modules versus homebrew adventures.
Okay. So a homebrew adventure, a pro for it, what I would have to say is,
Yeah.
if something happens to where your big bad is obviously killed or incapacitated, you can always write it off to where, hey, that wasn't actually the big bad. That was one of the big bad's underlings. Or instead of it being one big bad, it's like a group of 5 or 6 or however many.
Female juggalos are juggalettes.
Or like it's done in
Wait.
other campaigns. That wasn't the actual big bad. That was one of his that was a phantom of the big bad. You can always change it up.
Who just asked that question?
Greenie.
Greenie
Is that
called
Greenie?
Suicidal Queen a juggalo, and she goes, "I don't have a dick."
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar
He's laughing.
Hey, remember, remember, ICP and Insane Clown Posse were beefing for a while. Remember?
When I first started was playing ICP for him. He had mentioned how a friend of his sister's in high school was really big into them, so he knows a lot about them. And I was like, "Oh, so do you?" I asked him a question. He's like, "Well, I don't know that, but I know like about the stickers and stuff." I was like, "Oh, okay. So like the Hatchet Man versus the Hatchet Girl," and he's like, "No, well, but I do know that ICP and Insane Clown Posse didn't like each other for a while."
I did not know that. I did not know that they hated themselves for a while.
Right?
It would explain a lot of their musical taste.
I'm just.
It would explain a lot of their music. What,
Right.
They
Have you
hated
not
themselves.
heard Suicide Hotline?
I don't have a hotline.
Bro, no, that would explain the song. You know, like all that like evil, dark, vintage shit that came out right before fucking Damn it, I had the name of it on my tongue. Damn it. I hate when that happens. Mine goes
Hey,
blank.
bro, you remember Hell's
Miracles.
Pit?
That would explain everything before Miracles.
Who'd you like to come with?
Sure.
No, because Miracles was at the end of the fucking album damn near. It
I
was,
know,
it was in the first
I'm
part
trying
of
to make
the
a
fucking
ha-ha
deck,
funny.
but it
You're
was
not
at the
letting it
end
work.
of the album. It's because it wasn't funny.
It was funny.
So it was super funny.
All right, we need a second pro.
He doesn't know.
Whoa!
Get
Pan the
this in.
camera up, fucker.
We have to come outside and smoke. So we're all just migrating outside for the fucking live stream.
We need pro number 2 for Homebrew
Suicidal Queen
Adventures.
wants to show you something.
Oh shit!
Is your lighter?
Where did that ball come from?
It's been here for a while.
Here,
Would you like to sit down, ma'am?
Oh. Okay, hang on. Here we go.
She's gonna have to share it between the two of us. Well, I can't see shit from the same sign in the shade.
So-
We've got to get more
Another
episodes.
pro.
going.
Good evening.
Another pro.
there's another pro.
I have another pro. I've been waiting. Hold on, watch this, watch this. Yo, you remember this?
Yes, I made that.
I couldn't find them. They were in a cooler inside of my shed.
I wonder how that got out
Oh, did you get that stuff to Wilbur?
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
I did get it. I appreciate it very much.
He's about to get all of these.
Will you ask your name?
The only one that's missing is the big ass fucking spear. Unless, you know, all of them are blown across the yard somewhere because a few of them were found in the yard.
All right, Chewy.
Okay, so we need what? 2 more
I
pros?
have made it a rule. Yeah, I've made it a rule not to drink on game days because the last time I tried to drink and run a game, I ended up being an asshole and an idiot. So I don't do that anymore. When I run a game, I'll smoke, but I won't drink.
It's a Batman.
Anyway,
one.
next
Crazy. The ability to route your players
It's a Batman.
the best way forward.
Did you hear Nexus's pro?
No, I couldn't.
All right, got you. A pro and a great one. So, with any written module, at points it gets hard to help your players in the route that they need to be going. But with a homebrew game that's not fucking broke down, it's not out yet, you can actually help them in the direction that they need to go. Regardless if it's where they want to go, like, oh no, we want to go down here, down this path. Well, if they know that this path's down here, but they don't know where it fucking goes, you can say, okay, I'll let you go down that path.
Yeah.
And then once they get through there, like a party of like level 3 is going somewhere that's going to have a bunch of shit that they don't need to be fucking with. You know what? This leads to fucking rainbow
Right.
kisses and unicorn fartsville.
Didn't mean to poop you off.
Like, there's nothing here that's going to hurt you. What do you know? You're trying to get them from point A to B,
Hey,
and
we got a like, y'all.
or
in the same sense. You're trying to get them from point A to point B on this quest, and they keep trying to
You doing that
sidetrack,
with
and they
like
take
this?
the fork in the road. That fork in the road is where the fuck you want it to go.
Yes. Shout out to Seth Gorkowski. Hashtag not sponsored. Have you ever heard him say that bit?
Yeah.
What is it?
He took the video down. There's a video, he took it down because a lot of people got all butthurt and pissed off. But Seth Gorkowski had a video out for a while, things that GMs do that players don't want to know, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things in there is the fork in the road concept. He says, whether you take the left road or the right road doesn't really matter. All roads lead to Ravenloft because that's the adventure the GM has purchased and spent several weeks preparing. Fuck no, that's part of the social contract is when you sit down to play, is that everyone has agreed to do the adventure the GM has prepared.
And then we need
So,
one more
uh,
pro for homebrew.
third pro for homebrew.
I want Wilbur to do this one. I know he's got several good instances. All the people that he's played with.
Wilbur, just give me your best one.
Again, bro. Fucking eye full of
Give
smoke.
me the best one.
It's okay, man. What's up?
Was that from me?
Huh?
Give
Yes.
me the very best pro you've got for homebrew adventures.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna turn it to
So
Wilbur.
the very best pro for homebrew adventures. So we've already gotten you being able to. I think a good pro would be the inverse of what he just said. You don't have a necessarily mortar and brick and mortar set in stone adventure planned. Most of the time for homebrew settings, at
Right.
least for the ones that I have played in and have created, they're more open-ended.
Like more improv involved.
And this is where I'm going to let one of my secrets down that I don't let down to a lot of my players, is the fact that despite you going on these adventures in these settings that I run and all this, most of the interactions you have and the characters you meet, when you first meet them, are completely improv. You can, in a homebrew setting, you can go anywhere and do anything as long as the DM allows you. And I'm a firm believer in that freedom of world exploration in D&D.
You mean like whereas in a
Fuck yeah.
pre-written module you can do a
You
lot
can
of stuff,
do a lot
but
of stuff,
if
but
it breaks
if
the
it breaks, it breaks.
the storyline of the game, then you can't do
It
it.
has little to no flex. A lot of modules can only be written so. Check your phone, it's cracked. A lot
Shout
of
out to JPC in this bitch. Whoop whoop.
APC, our first
Yo.
fan mail.
first.
Yeah, he emailed us the other day. That was dope as fuck. Shout out. Motherfucker's a real one. Him and Chris out of Ohio and spoke to me in person like a fucking real G.
So
Anyway,
are
let's
we
get
gonna use
some cons for modules.
yeah. Cons for modules, I think, goes back to what Wilbur was just saying. Like with a module, one of the best parts of the game is getting to do whatever you want. But if it breaks the storyline of that pre-written adventure, then it's not going to be allowed.
All right. I mean,
Another pro for the DM.
I'm going to retort to most of these just because I'm a little biased, but I'm going to push back a little on there because there's a lot of shit that's not in the modules that I fucking do just because you guys want to do it and it's really fucking cool.
Real quick, Anthony Purcell just asked us a question. Are you guys more of a player or dungeon master, or is this just like a tips discussion? Well, we've got 3 game masters, and the rest of us are players.
I'm a forever GM for the most part.
I'm basically a forever DM for most of the time.
And this series, the This is part 2. This is basically us discussing, the different what's the word we used? Philosophies.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the different tips and rules and pros and cons and stuff involved in TTRPGs. He asked another question.
Most
He
of
said,
the
"Are you
time when we
guys in the
get
middle of a
together,
game?"
Middle of the game.
not currently.
Technically, yeah.
I'm in the middle of prepping a campaign. I'm
You're
prepping
in the
a
middle of
pre-written
prepping a
campaign.
campaign,
She's prepping
a
you're
homebrew
prepping a homebrew
campaign,
campaign.
and we are all in the middle of playing Wilbur's campaign.
I don't know if you consider it in the middle. We're only 2 sessions in.
We're only 2 sessions in.
I say
Granted,
in the
they're
middle
both
because
combats.
we are playing it. We haven't finished
I
it.
wouldn't call that the middle
We're in the beginning.
unless
How
he's
about
going to have
that?
a
Early
4-session
stages.
campaign.
Do you guys play online with webcams or
Uh,
meet up?
Now, I'll take this one. Normally, we meet up and play in person, and it's normally I'm the GM and they're the players. However, for interested parties, next week, we will be doing our first virtual one shot. I will be running The Haunting from Call of Cthulhu for Jade and either Greeny or Wilbur, depending on if Greeny has to
Yeah,
work or
if
not.
Rooney has to work, and because the reason why he didn't offer it to Nexus is because either A, Nexus has already played it, or B, I'm going to be running it for them. I can't remember which. But
Yeah, both. Nexus played it. This is the first scenario I ever ran, and Nexus was in the group when I ran it.
That's the one where I
It
played
was
Bobby
him.
King.
Yes, it was him, SQ, and their mom. His Nexus's mom playing.
so if Greeny's got to work next Saturday, would you be interested in playing that over the phone with?
Yeah, sure.
All right, Wilbur's on board if Greeny can't make it.
From SQ.
Which, if he
Did
does end up
Greeny pick
playing,
out a
then
pre-gen
I'll run
yet?
it for you later on.
What now?
No, he hasn't, but I have the laptop with the quick start rules here, so tonight I'll have him look through.
Okay.
I'll also go through the pre-gens with Wilbur just in case. That way, if he ends up playing, he's already
SQ,
prepared.
whoop, whoop.
What now?
All right.
Virtual game. If you're off on Saturday. If not, he's gonna play. But The Haunting that Nitro asked us about if we wanted to play. The pre-gens for that are in the quick start rules I've got on the laptop. So tonight you're gonna have to pick your pre-gen.
Yeah, we normally play in person. This primarily started as a game diary channel where we just talked about the games we played. It was like a review recap thing.
Anthony
But
Purcell said
we
I'd be
haven't been able
interested
to.
to maybe just watch next time y'all play. I believe we're
Yeah.
playing that live on YouTube next Saturday, correct?
Yeah. Yep. It'll be the first time we've ever done
If
a
you're working,
hopefully
then
successful game live on camera. Because we
well, I
normally
don't know
play
what
in
time it is.
person, but we don't have that option. And I want to have content every week, and we don't have it. So I figure, why
Low
not?
Nitro. Do you know what time you're wanting to start playing The Haunting next weekend on Saturday?
Either 1 or 2.
All right, because Nexus just informed me that even when they do work on Saturdays, they get off at 2.
What time do they get home?
Around roughly 2:30.
Roughly about 2:30.
But
So,
with
because
next weekend being Easter weekend, there's a chance that we won't be working Saturday.
Did you catch that?
I did. That's why I went.
Ooh.
However,
All right. Anyway, off of personal shit, we can talk about all this
About to say, however,
off on the side
Chris
when we're not
Watala
chewing up
said, I
time.
like watching too. I don't think I'm smart enough to play, but watching is interesting. You don't have to be a certain level of
Don't
smart to
doubt
play.
yourself.
I will say that.
Who was that, Christopher?
Chris Watala, yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go on record here. I love Granny to death, but he's not very good in the common sense department,
You're
but he
so
still plays
mean.
just fine.
Look, Chris, I'm gonna break it down
You're
like this.
so
Okay.
mean.
I'm
When
gonna let him know I called him out while you
the
talk.
first time I actually ran a game
Get on
for
camera.
all right.
I
All
got him
right,
on camera.
there we go. Okay, so the first time I ran a game for Wilbur that wasn't just like, two people playing, I ran a game for him and three of his friends. The only one of them that had any experience in the game was Wilbur, and it wasn't that bad. The only problem was the cleric was doing some really messed up evil shit. And I told him, well, now and I straight up told him, I said, well, all this evil shit that you've been doing, attacking lawful good, intelligent creatures that are trying to help you, now your deity no longer has connection with you, and you feel a draw to a very evil force. I made him take Asmodeus as his fucking deity. He had no choice in the matter. He had a lawful good sprite that was trying to help them and lead them, and he squashed it with his shield.
You hear him just giggling.
I'm like, all right. And the whole time, Wilbur's over here, don't do that stupid shit. You're going to make it really bad. Because the group was what was you? You were a rogue, right?
There was a rogue.
Yeah, there was a rogue, a cleric, a paladin, and a barbarian. As soon as his alignment changed, I looked at who was playing the paladin.
Okay, so I think the paladin was Bobby.
No.
No, the cleric was Bob, wasn't it?
Noah was the paladin.
No, because Noah was the barbarian.
Then it was Bobby that was.
Yeah.
Bobby was the paladin.
Because Caden was the.
I looked at the player that was running the paladin. I said, "You feel this sudden urge to grab the cleric and slam them into the wall." He said, "What?" I said, "Commence PvP." He goes, "What?" I said, "You are lawful good. His alignment has changed to evil. You are now. He has done all these atrocious acts towards goodwill creatures in front of you."
Oh, that wind.
Yeah, it's rough. It's bad enough I don't want to go fishing today because of the wind.
Hey, real quick, shout out to our newest subscriber, Anthony Purcell. Read that last comment there.
Nice meeting you all. I'll lurk around a bit. I think what y'all are doing is kind of cool. A virtual quest for Shangri-La could be really dope if it was hosted correctly.
Nexus and Nitro, Suicidal Queen asked me to deliver a message. She said we've got a little bit of a lag from us filming to the playback in the live. So she said to inform y'all that she's going to be listening to us, and she can't come out here and actively be a part of it. She's going to be listening to what we say and commenting on there. So her comments are going to pop up before most people see what she's talking about in the live. But that's so that she can, respond to what we're saying.
All right, cool. There's always a little bit of a delay.
I cut you out again.
She's trying to get rid of me, man.
I'm not. It's hard to get two people on this tiny ass phone.
Hashtag purple.
I told you, why didn't you set the laptop up to the Wi-Fi and use it?
Nexus said hashtag purple.
Oh, yo, we are now up to 6 viewers.
And two likes.
Whoop, whoop. Fuck yes. Let's get them bitches climbing. All right.
It's probably in the Discord.
How many? Oi! Focus up. We're like an hour in and we've only hit on 2 and we're still on the
I'm waiting on you.
You're looking over there, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I can listen with this ear,
No, you can't.
Focus up, buttbucker.
Where's your matching
How
hoodie,
many
brother?
cons? I can't cover up the beauty. How many cons do we have for pre-written so far?
One,
Yeah,
because
All
we
right.
got on a
So
major
does anyone have?
we got on a major tangent and then we were catching up comments.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we're not
for
focused. Um, let me get another con for uh the pre-written mod, and then I'll do the last con because that's hard for me because I'm a biased ass bitch. So I'll have to really think about it.
So since she did, she
Yeah, I did the first
the first
one.
con. I'll do the second one. And my personal con for pre-written. Oh my god, the amount of reading you have to do to get an understanding of the setting. I'm dyslexic. I can't do that.
Oh, speaking of which, let me show you what I'm preparing right now.
Uh-oh.
I will say, learning to run a system that you haven't played as much is difficult.
You realize I'm trying to learn how to play an entirely new system with me,
You
right?
see this book?
Where's that?
You see
That
this
is
book?
Call of Cthulhu Two-Headed Serpent.
Ooh.
That's the campaign he's prepping.
This
Oh, I can't read
this
all that.
is let me get past the
I
index. Hang on.
struggle reading
Here
Call
we
of the
go.
Navy.
This is 264
Okay.
pages.
We have this for you for lunches. It is buffalo style shaved chicken
And
breast.
that's before I make any notes.
Before you make notes. Ugh.
Thank you.
Can't wait to
Yeah,
see the
and I have to read through that multiple times.
What's up?
But here's the best part about that is you don't have to read it cover to cover
That's true.
because every chapter in that book is its own adventure. It's like a season of a TV show. Every adventure is its own episode, but the full campaign is a season, right?
Yeah.
So really, I only need to read one chapter for every 1 to 2 sessions.
Because I'm gonna move over there where I can be in the sunlight. I'm moving this one here.
All right. So she's trying to get me to do a shoot me right now.
No, I'm moving over here on this side of Wilbur because over here I'm in the sunlight and not freezing.
All right. So I need to come up with a con for pre-written mods.
And we're very interested
I'll
to hear it.
say
Hang
the biggest con that I have encountered
There we go.
Oh, that's good.
is the availability of pre-written material for certain systems.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good one.
Like it is almost impossible. I have not yet found a single full-length adventure for Cyberpunk Red that was free.
That would, yeah.
Oh shit! I was trying to find a couple of or a very specific
And like if I want
one-shot.
pre-written material for D&D, the only pre-written material there is for D&D is full-ass campaigns. They don't deal really with one-shots unless you get a starter set. I already have 3 starter sets. I don't want to keep buying fucking starter sets,
So many starter stats.
I mean, you
right?
you
So
saw in
it's
Nitro
it's
how much trouble
scarce.
I had trying to find just a couple of fucking Call of Cthulhu one shots for PDF in order for me to
Now,
start learning.
I'll say this. I'll say this. When it comes to Call of Cthulhu, you can find umpteen fucking one-shot scenarios for Call of Cthulhu for free for PDF, and I know that because I've got hundreds of them. And the
Okay,
reason
but
you
you
can
were
do
at my
that is
house when I was
because
searching and could not find them.
you were searching for rule books. That's different. I'm telling you, don't type in 7E. Don't do it. Just type in Call of Cthulhu RPG scenarios. And I'm telling you, because the brilliant thing about the percentile system in Call of Cthulhu is 7th edition is backwards compatible with every other edition of the game. Literally, the only conversions you have to do can be done in your head, and that is simply just multiplying their stats by 5 because they were doing the 3d6 thing. So their stat is what your 1/5 value is. That's the only conversion you have to do. So you can, and the best, in my opinion, the best pre-written scenarios they have are for older editions. The Haunting was the very first pre-written scenario ever released by Chaos Amp for Call of Cthulhu, and we're
All right,
gonna be
I'm gonna
playing it
let
next
you
week.
take over for a second. I'm gonna run to the bathroom.
She has to go inside, which means I get full center view. Let's go. Time to answer so many
Woo woo.
questions. As soon as she gets back, we're gonna be done.
You're funny.
I always thought it'd be cool to set up a tent and run some of my games at the gathering, but I don't know if anybody would fucking show up.
I haven't either.
Why, thank you. Thank you. Now we need 3 pros for pre-written scenarios, right? Pre-written adventures.
Yep.
Modules, if you will. So I'll go ahead and throw the first one out because I've got the most experience with them. It's the easiest. Is I don't have to come up with a story. It's already laid out for me. If there's handouts needed, they're normally provided. It gives me detailed NPCs to work with, so I don't have to create them all on the fly. It does a lot of the fucking work for me.
Yeah.
All I got to do is read through it a few times and highlight a few key points. That's literally all I got to do to prep it,
Yeah.
story wise. Now I still have to get minis and paint them and set up terrain and all that shit, but just prepping the story itself, literally all I got to do is read the fucking story a few times and highlight the hot spots. So, number one obvious pro. Wilbur, would you like to take the second?
Second pro for modules. I have done a few. I've tried to do a few. And at least with the official modules, as a player, when you're playing them, they feel like a really cohesive story if everything goes well.
Quick question.
What's up?
Gouda or loaded bacon cheddar mac and cheese? It's for tomorrow.
Duda. Now it's not just you getting interrupted. Let's go. Show the
Oh yeah, join
Share
the
the
club, motherfucker.
trying to figure out what's for dinner. Okay. So back to the point. If everything goes well in a pre-written module and you're a player and you have a really good DM who's really good at improvising and even filling in plot holes or gaps in the writing of module, everything can go so smoothly that, as stated, the players can't even tell that it is a module. And that's something that is, pretty good about modules, is that, yeah, while they're set in stone, brick and mortar, most of them have just enough flex for them to be changed to fit needs.
That keep what you just said in mind because spoiler alert, without spoiling shit, that's gonna come into play next week.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Like Mr. Security out here.
Mad Clown Love, Anthony. Whoop whoop.
Oh, see ya, man.
Share the channel link out, man. Get some motherfuckers in on some subscribes. It don't cost a penny. We're actually going to be editing and re-releasing edited versions of these live streams just for subscribers. So
Yeah.
that's something to look out for. And we still actually have 2 game diaries from Fantasy High sophomore year coming that are stuck in editing limbo right now.
Can't
Talk
wait
to
to watch
Jade about that. That's her job. Jade's the editor. That's she does the credits, and that's what it says.
I think
So
Jay
blame
had the
her for
best.
anything stuck in editing limbo. Let's just throw Jade under the bus.
Yeah, just throw her under the bus.
All right. So now we need a third pro, right?
Third pro. Well, I think that we did just throw Jade under the bus, like she threw Greenie under the bus earlier.
What? How did you
And
throw
I'll
me
say
under the
that
bus?
because she's coming back.
That's a great pro. That's a great pro.
That's a great pro, and she's walking in the frame right
so
now.
what's a great pro, and how did you throw me under the bus?
Because we now have a new subscriber. Shout out to Anthony Purcell, who subscribed I think about a half hour ago, if not a little more. Um and I told him to share, the channel link out, get some people subscribed. I told him we're gonna have edited versions of the live streams coming out just for subscribers. I was like, and then I, mentioned that we had two videos still stuck in editing limbo. And I said, the credits say that Jade's the editor. So just blame Jade if anything is ever stuck in editing limbo.
As always.
To be fair, in that situation, we
You
have to
create the
blame on
credits.
his laptop.
You create the credits. You credit yourself as the editor. Therefore, that's your job. And
Okay,
dealing
watch
with
this. Watch
bullshit from
this.
pissed off fans is part of that job description.
I am going to put a little thing in those videos that say, "Sorry for the delay. Nitro's laptop corrupted the file."
Why do you think we do this shit live now?
Right.
What do you mean you lost the file? Go find it.
And then once you start editing these shits, you won't be able to do that because you'll be downloading them onto your laptop.
That's okay. I can still fucking put the blame right back on your laptop for the fantasy eye.
Helicopter.
Helicopter.
We're not talking about Fantasy High right now. We're talking about that third pro for pre-written modules. What you got, sister?
I thought the third one was you.
No, the third one was you.
Because I did the first, you
No.
did the second,
No,
third
you-
one's
The,
him.
the third con was me.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
She's going crazy, guys.
Wilbur did the first pro. No, I did the first pro. Wilbur did the second pro. Now it's on you for the third.
And
The
now
pre-written
we're
What
just
I said is, the first pro was that it lays out all the information you need. You don't really have to come up with shit as far as the overall plot goes and NPCs and shit.
right.
What was it you said, Wilbur?
if everything goes smoothly, the module can seem like such a good story that the players can confuse it for it not even being a module.
And now third's on you.
I'm gonna say if you're, it's a little tailor specific, but if you're running a pre-written module featuring pre-generated characters, then most of the time it takes a little bit of work
Mhm.
off of the GM in figuring out how to make those players or those specific characters involved in the plot. If you're running pre-gens in a pre-written module, they're already incorporated into the plot.
Most of the time.
Mostly.
Or if not, they at least have something in their occupation or their backstory that makes sense on why they would check it out.
Right.
That's a good one. I like that. Shout out to Jade. I like that.
We have a comment that I cannot read from her.
We have already read that.
Oh, okay.
I already read it. All right.
Yeah, we were doing the job.
So now to kind of segue into the next one, this is raw versus homebrew rules. Rules is written versus homebrew rules. And just for time's sake and try not to tangent too much, we're not going to do three pros and three cons. We're mainly going to do like, I figure we can give one example each from a game where rules is written would work out well versus changing it, and one example for vice versa.
I have
You
an
know?
example.
All right, we're gonna do two each. So you go, he'll go, I'll go. You go, he'll go, I'll go.
Well, I've got an example for house rules.
Where the house rule is beneficial to the rules as written.
Yes.
All right, so we'll stick to that category until we get back to you, and then we'll change it up. We got a
So
third like
there's a lot
y'all.
of times in D&D specifically where if we don't clarify something early enough on, we're kind of fucked up later. Like there's no fixing it because it's already done. Nitro
Yeah.
incorporated after we started doing Call of Cthulhu, he incorporated a house rule where in D&D we had the option to every now and then, if a situation like that come up, he would say, "I'll tell you what. How about we do a luck roll for it? You tell me high or low. I'll roll percentiles, and if it's 50 or above, then that's high. And I think 49 and below is low. And if
It's 1 to 50 is low, 51 to 100 is high.
yeah, so like if we're doing something and I'm like, oh shit, was I able to, um, cut loose from that early, or did that thing drop me earlier, or something like that, that we hadn't clarified that is now important? He'd be like, okay, high or low? I'll say low, and he'll roll it. Okay, that's 22. Yes, you got dropped. You're good. So to me, that's an example of a house rule that you've implemented in one of our games that has been very beneficial.
All right, Wilbur.
Okay.
One example of house rules being the better option.
One example of house rules being a better option as compared to rules are written in at least D&D in my sense is that D&D 5e, the most recent edition as far as I'm aware of that I play, as a system does lack a lot of things unless you go out and spend all this money and buy all this content from Wizards of the Coast, and even in the end that can be lacking in the areas you're looking for. But yet there's free resources out there from members of the community who may have had ideas like yours, may have run campaigns like yours, who are giving these supplementary rules like armor lists, weapon lists, even ships, vehicles, new mount systems, vehicles, all that. And if your campaign is focused around those new things, you can use those and it would be very beneficial to you instead of you having to go in and individually
I did.
basically redo it yourself.
I didn't know
I
that.
can't. That is direct on skin soap. I can't.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's basically it.
I will say house rules have been very helpful with us in the past. Like there's been a lot of instances where something will come up and it'll be like, you know what, that's not technically what that's used for, but in this situation, I think it'll work out. So
I have to say my number one example is a bunch of examples that I can put into one category. And that is our inspiration system with D&D that I've incorporated into basically every game we play now, which, it's exactly like the original inspiration system, except you can get up to 3 at any one time instead of just one.
I have a question real quick. Because I have something that you gave me that I still have. Would this still be valid if we play that game again?
Yes.
Because I haven't spent it yet, and I thought I lost it. It was in my phone case.
Yeah, you can totally cash that in.
Okay, just wanted to make that aware
tagging
that I
along
still
with
have
what
it.
you've done with the inspiration system, you've also implemented your penalty system as well, and that's become, for the most part,
Something
pretty
that I
beneficial
use.
to reining in players and getting them to stay focused.
And also a secondary.
Thankfully, I don't have to use it much anymore.
You don't have to use it much.
Well, originally he was handing them out left and right, and then he put in the rule where if you get 3 penalties in one session, you're out of the whole fucking campaign. You're done.
Yeah.
And after that, everyone started minding their P's and fucking Q's.
I think we have a much more mature gaming group now.
We do. I enjoy it.
All right. Now we need to go through 3 examples of how rules as written being either superior or more logical or more beneficial in some way.
Uh,
We want to give equal time to both contenders and let people make
I'd
up their
say
own mind, you know?
for that one, a lot of the time that comes into play with D&D and spells, because someone, like, even if it makes no sense to the story, if someone's wanting to do something like fucking outrageous with a spell based on the title, that's when you step in, like, no, read the description. That is not what that is used for. You cannot do that.
Am I saying you've done that before? Maybe.
Yes, you did, Chris. Candy apple Fago. It's my favorite flavor. My second is firework. My third is peach.
I haven't had Fig one in a long time.
He also likes Red Pop.
So she's
I
gone
like
yet again.
almost all of them. There's really only a couple I don't like.
So I'm back in Central here.
All right. Well, since you're here, then I'll say you go first. What's an example from a game you've either ran or played in where house rules outweighed trying to change it, or not
Game
house
is,
rules, but
okay,
rules
rules
is
is
written.
written. They tend to be very stable.
Oh, is it the same flavor, Chris? You got candy apple? That's dope.
Apple.
Sorry, go ahead, Wilbur.
Okay, so rules is written D&D when working with just a rules is written system is a very stable rule set. There's not a lot that can be done to break it unless you go out of your way to exploit it.
Like, you search for the loopholes and shit. Like Nexus.
Just had lunch. Based.
Like, Nexus using a spell exactly as it's supposed to be used, but because of technicality, he used it in someone's lungs.
Me using Mage Hand to stuff a BB
Um,
mouth so he can't cast a spell. Is he good?
I don't know.
Chat, check on him. Back. Finally.
okay.
I don't know if he caught the last
Nice,
of what
nice.
we had just said.
Chat will.
No,
It's fine. That will. Because that wasn't really relevant to anything. That was just us fucking around, waiting on him. So now I would believe
all right.
it, it would either be one of you guys. I thought.
Jade's gonna go next.
Um,
Example of rules as written being better.
that's hard for me because I always prefer the house rules.
You prefer the house rules because they let you do more shit.
True.
However, if you're gonna be in the mindset of a GM, you don't want to beef the players up too much because then they're just gonna steamroll everything.
Right. I'm trying to think.
And trust me, that's not fun from the player's view for too long either because they start getting bored if nothing challenges them.
Okay, I've got one.
They don't have to think anymore.
I've got one, and it goes back to a topic we discussed earlier.
What's up?
One thing that you kind of have to do, rules as written, is character creation. And that keeps people from overpowering their characters too much and, just demolishing the whole game. Right.
I like that.
I'm proud.
Is another jab at Nexus?
Yes.
What do you say?
Another jab at Nexus.
Yes. Well, no, not necessarily.
Maybe.
However, we did make a jab at Nexus while you were trying to fix your phone.
I'll hear about it later. Um, let me think.
So trash.
I'll say this: chase rules.
So confused.
Whenever we do a chase in D&D, I have to house rule it because there's no rules for
Yeah.
chases in D&D, like broken down. So it's something you have to come up with, and it gets annoying when you have members of a chase that all have the same movement. You know, like every human moves at 30 feet or every dwarf moves at 25 feet, unless you give them something that changes that, you know? And even then, it only changes it by like 5 or 10 feet, so it's still the same pretty much.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at the official GM screen for Call of Cthulhu and you open that bitch up, there's a whole fucking panel that's just chase rules. There's a whole chapter in the book that's chase rules that breaks down how you decide who's faster. How do you decide who has how many movement actions? How do you throw in hazards and barriers? How you can spend movement actions to gain bonuses to your rolls. You know, all this type shit that makes chases feel dynamic and challenging.
Suicidal Queen's back out here, by the way.
She says,
So,
Sorry, I was trying to like figure out.
right? So that takes care of that. So now we're going to segue into our next one, which is just house rules, and just talk about some of our favorite house rules
house
that we
rule.
have.
Just our favorite
What do we
house rule.
got? Yeah.
Well, we've covered the inspiration and penalty system.
Uh huh.
Very good.
Oh, I've got a good one.
What?
I don't know if anyone else does this, but I know a house thing that you do specifically is when we're at the table, if people are sidebarring too much or taking too long to figure something out in order to keep the game on track, he'll slap down that hourglass, and it's like one of them little minute timer
Yeah.
hourglasses. And if that runs out before you finish, like if you're sidebarring, if that runs out before you stop, then that's a penalty. If it runs out before you make a decision, you just
Don't.
GM's discretion, man.
What?
Normally, like if we're normally, I only implement the hourglass for decision making in combat because it takes too long.
Sit down.
But normally, what I do is
Tell me I can't
if
sit
you're
with you.
taking too long to decide what you do in combat and that hourglass runs out, I just declare you're dodging for that round.
Right.
Fuck your
That
hourglass.
way, you know, at least, yeah, you didn't do shit, but at least you're a little harder to hit, you know?
And I will say, since he implemented the penalties and the hourglass systems, we've had a lot less sidebars, and whenever they do start, they're a lot shorter now.
We've always had penalty chips, except when we very first started. It was just
Well, like when he first started with the poker chips, I remember he sat there and gave Nameless like 7 of them in a fucking row before he put his phone away. And now he's got a rule where he
9.
gets 9 of them in a row because he sat there playing games on his phone instead of paying attention to the game. And Nacho told him, dude, if you don't put your phone up, you're about to get penalties. And I guess he didn't believe him. So he took a whole handful and went 9 times in a row before he put his phone up. And now he's got a rule where if you get 3 penalties in one session, you are out of the entire fucking campaign.
The you tapping the table just come across my screen. That's how bad the delay is.
Damn.
Hey, blueberry.
Blueberry. Coffee.
Cherries. All right. Blueberries and cherries. So,
Good hand.
what are we on again?
Our favorite.
Favorite house rules.
How long do you want me to ramble on this? Because I have quite a few. Because I play with a lot of them.
Just pick
Very short.
one for now.
Okay, thank you.
What?
So, probably the house rule, which has been most beneficial to me and all of my campaign, has been the expanded weapons and armor
Okay.
because
I'll be
of
in there in a little bit.
the fact that it complicates the
I'll
whole
be right
combat
there.
system.
Just give me a
It makes
few
it a little bit more tactical because there's new conditions, new weapons, new weapon damages, new weapon damage types, new versatilities and such. And with the armor, yeah, it just adds more armor, and more classifications of armor to bridge the gap between medium, light, and heavy can be really good. Provides a little bit better sense of
What do
scale.
y'all think about What do y'all think about Black Hand Street weapons for Cyberpunk?
Suicidal Queen has one.
I
Is
don't.
she here to verbally?
She's right
Yeah.
here. She's waving with her not so strong hand.
So
Uh,
I don't
She
know if
don't have to come on camera so long.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know if it's like a house rule or a spoken rule, but one thing that I absolutely love is like the flexibility in the game itself throughout the game, for the simple fact I've seen so many people be like, oh, well, that's not how this is going to work, so your decision can't be in the game. So the flexibility is
Yeah, I
like,
don't.
it's always been like a thing that's been like a rule for the game that is available to players.
The rule of cool, right?
I don't like saying no too often. And when I do say no, there's a good fucking reason for it.
I think what she's more like is like classes with specific weapon proficiencies, more down to like 3.5, like the exotic weapons. If you
She's a
didn't have
motherfucking T-Rex.
right, like if you had you weren't proficient with exotic weapons, but you found one. Oh, you can't use that because you're not proficient with it. No, you can use it, but without being proficient, you gain no proficiency bonus with it.
Yeah, it'll just be like your Dex mod or your Strength
Or
mod.
or
You
the
won't be
sense
able
of
to
like
like in
a gnome trying to wield a
in
fucking great axe or something.
right. That would come with penalties,
Right, because of the size.
obviously.
But it's
But
still a
like in the case
flexibility.
of 3.5, it would basically be, oh, you just don't get your base attack bonus. That's all.
Right.
Yeah,
Unless, like the
I get what
example
you're
Nexus
saying
gave,
because
where it's completely out of the weight class, in which case you get penalties.
should have been done differently, but whoever's GMing will be like, you know what? Because of this situation or because of your character's background or something, I'm gonna let you do it this way instead.
Right.
Okay, like me, I ran a halfling barbarian who toted around a big ass axe. They're like, "How do you do that?" Well, look at my character's strength, look at his class. Like, well, the size difference. I'm like, yes, and that penalty's been added to the attack bonus.
Mm-hmm.
It's permanently on paper. I don't ever have to roll it and subtract it. I just took it off of my attack bonus. But I mean, when you have a strength
Yeah,
of
when I
19,
write in the attack bonus, I put the total number.
yeah, I can't stand when people just do like their proficiency and like with a strength based weapon and their strength and they're like they're constantly rolling it. I'm like, aren't you supposed to take a penalty to that? Oh, I forgot. How many times did you forget? Oh man, I don't know. Like, okay, well now just subtract that number from the weapon's total damage. Well, that's going to be less. It don't matter. That number's supposed to be subtracted from the total of the damage done or from the attack roll anyway.
Right. That's why I don't understand, if it says this is your proficiency plus your dex, just writing those numbers out and constantly rolling and adding and then subtracting. Just do all the math right then and have it on your sheet. That way you don't have to continuously figure that out.
Now, what was the subject?
However,
Favorite.
however, let's not forget to highlight both ends of that spectrum because not only are there players that try to game the system that way, there are also players that are making honest mistakes, in which case, a
Yes.
lot of the times the number they're forgetting to incorporate is a bonus that would have
Yeah.
helped them,
I've done
and
this
Yeah.
now
several
they're rolling
times.
poorly just because they forgot to add that number.
That's like when I had I've done it several times. The feats for I can't remember what the feat's called, but it's with archery. You take a -5 to your attack roll, and it gives you +10 to your attack damage. So you're going to you're less likely to hit. However, if you do hit, you're going to deal a fuck ton of damage.
Right. See, Greeny was making that mistake when he was first starting to learn how to play D&D. He would roll and forget he had to add the bonus to whatever he was rolling, and he'd go, "Oh, it's like a DC 17." And he'd be like, "Oh, 14, I fail." And we're like, "No, add that, remember?" And he's like, "Oh shit, that's a dirty 20," you know?
All right, next category. Are we ready?
Okay.
Yes.
And this is something I'm not entirely sure if all of you have experience with, but I know my sister does. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Evil PCs. Thoughts? I
I've
see
never
Wilbur
ran.
raised his hand.
Do you want to go first?
I want to go first. No.
Okay. When you're playing a game where you're continuously, you're the good guys on a quest, or you're the investigators solving a problem, when you get to play something where you're like, okay, you're all these monstrous evil creatures, and your goal is to defeat the good guys and bring the end of the world. That is like a whole flip script perspective, and it's
take that
fucking
back.
awesome.
I take that back. I did play an evil PC once. It was my warlock. Remember, I got the item. It was a homebrewed item that you got for me that allowed me to hide my alignment. I played a chaotic evil rifle warlock, and the whole game
Ooh,
I had quote unquote harvest souls of the innocents for my patron. So every time we went to a town, I would sneak into an orphanage and slaughter orphans in the most grotesque possible way. I'd probably cut their guts open and rip them out.
See, my first experience playing an evil PC was when he ran Bloodkeep, and we all got to pick monstrous creatures, and I ended up playing a rider who's that's mine, whose spider half was a Black Widow. So 90% of the game was
and she was the general of the evil army.
90% of the game was me biting the heads off of people that pissed me off. The only people I actually cared about was, my children, my giant spider children. But yet, even in that game, we all did more friendship together, teamwork than anything.
Yeah, yeah. Even in a game when everyone's playing despicable evil creatures, they still find the power of family and friendship. What the fuck?
One of the good guys attacked one of my giant spider kids, and I'm pretty sure I webbed him up and ate him.
Makes sense. That's what's gotta
Hey,
happen.
hey, how about when Jessa fell off that ledge?
I almost cried, bro. Like, I never thought I would care so much about a fucking spider.
Yeah.
It's
Look
different.
at Chris's comment, y'all.
When
I have no legs. I have no legs.
That's fucking great.
Oh, Jesus.
I have no legs to hold me up.
Yeah.
All
That
right.
just reminded me of when we were kids, and he would intentionally annoy me because he knew I hated it by going around going, "I can ride my bike with no handlebars," because he knew it drove me up the fucking wall.
Hey, I like that song to this day.
I to this
It's
day
like a
cannot stand
guilty
that song
pleasure for
because of
me.
you.
Oh shit. Wilbur, you got any thoughts on players playing evil characters? Like, should they be allowed,
I've got two
or
really good
does it
examples
make for a good story? Okay.
that I think are really good examples. The first one is a good to evil scenario where the players started off as good characters, but by one means or another, specifically one of the player characters being captured by an orc warband, brought back to their fortress and killed off, were the other players basically initially forced to do evil so they also would not receive that death. And the player who died was okay with it, and their new character did work for the bad guys and managed to convince the other members of the party to go full send evil. And it made for a really good story of heroes falling from grace and bringing upon the end of the world.
That sounds precious, fuck.
A second one is, this is of course something I have to heavily regulate and have a lot of stipulations with. And a little bit of spoilers. I don't think any of you are in the games that this is present in. But just in case you might become one of the gamers that this is present in. Having a member of the party be a secretly evil person working not against the party, but in the interest of the bad guys.
So sort of like Nexus was talking about earlier.
Kind of. The reason why I say this has to have a lot of stipulations and such is that so the plot doesn't get foiled too early, the player doesn't end up dying in some weird way,
We had
and the player has room to grow and eventually backstab the evil guys if they want to and help the good guys in the end.
we had a situation similar to that in Fantasy High. Only
It was
it's
the opposite.
yeah, it started out with him being an actual good character, and
And
then
you guys
just he
bullied
took
him.
so much shit. He was like, "I'm fucking done," and he went to the dark side, and none of us knew about it until it was too late.
Yeah, I've had a scenario happen like that, but in the
Hey.
exact inverse.
Question. Wilbur, Nexus, SQ, Greenie. None of them have played Bloodkeep.
Correct.
Not.
Would you guys be interested in doing that one shot? It's a long one shot. It takes like 10 to 12 hours to do it. So, but it's essentially, think of this. Have you seen Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Okay. Picture a ripoff of Lord of the Rings, but you're the bad guys and you're taking the story forward after it was dropped in the volcano.
Okay. I like that.
The other three are in there. Would you
So
like me to
the entire adventure is the ring has been dropped in the volcano. How do the bad guys respond?
Okay. I like that.
You're basically like Sauron's generals.
Since I've played that and you'd be running it for them, would I be observing you?
Yeah, you could co-run it with me. You could help me out in combat and with rulings and shit.
Bet.
Sit behind the screen.
Be Aragorn. And
That was
also,
a fun
Look what
game.
SQ said.
yes. I have been scheming a really evil, like, monstrous character. And I hope that I do get to play Bloodkeep, because I can put it in. It's a Minotaur.
I think we had a Minotaur.
The
in our
only
game.
thing I have, yes, we did. He could play the Beastmaster. Thing is, everyone will be assigned a background and an occupation.
Background and occupation. All right.
And if anyone wants to play the head of the guards for the evil lord, then they have to play a race.
That's to play a what?
A race.
A Wraith.
Isn't that what Strife played?
Yep.
Getting a random phone call.
From a
Probably
number-
from Michigan.
But the other ones available, you can play any monstrous humanoid intelligent race. But there's a Beastmaster, there's the General of the Army, there's an Evil Oracle, there's a Pirate King, um, and the Evil Lord's baby mama, who is also Princess of the Evil Kingdom.
How much you want to bet Suicidal Queen calls dibs on the princess?
I hope she does,
I hope so
because
too.
that's who Tink played.
I'm gonna call this the princess. I'm gonna be a pretty princess.
I thought you were calling dibs on the beast.
Change the play. Just to fuck with them.
You'd be like, okay, Princess Wilbur.
Who all played in the second go round? It was Nameless, Inferno, Doyen, and Slickback played in the second go round. And then there was one.
Doyen played in our group.
Who was the? I know he played in both of them.
Oh.
I think Vixen played in their group, but I'm not 100%. I think so.
Yeah, I know in our group it was me, Tink,
Anyway.
Stripe, Doyen, and a fucktard.
Read SQ's comments.
I can't see it. Read it.
I'd be princess before I became the motherfucking princess. Nexus never got to play Bloodkeep.
I know. Hang on.
I know. That's why I included him.
I don't think he heard that.
He said
I said Nexus, Wilbur, SQ, and Greeny have never played Bloodkeep. He was the first name I said.
Also, tell me go back to the
Wilbur,
what's poppin'?
Nexus asked Nitro if he can come here and do it.
You wanna come here and do it?
Possibly.
Possibly.
It would have to be. I'd have to come down early. It'd have to be like an all-day event, and y'all would have to be like ready for me to set up when I get there.
Yeah.
But I can't say yes or no to anything until I clear it with my wife,
Yeah.
because we have.
Okay. Well, she's gone.
Anywho, sir, we are burning time.
You are burning time. Are you
All right.
ready?
We're gonna
We're
move
burning
on
time.
to.
I was just talking to them about that. I told them what Nitro said about it would have he'd have to be come down early, and we'd have to be ready for him and do like an all day thing. And Nexus said that's fine.
All right, we'll talk. We'll hash out the details after I've had a chance to talk to my wife about it, because I can't do shit without talking to her. We got a bunch of shit going on here.
Yeah.
But let's move on to red flags. Things that people at the table do that give you a sense of this might not be the person to game with.
Dice fudging. It's only like the fourth time we've talked about that in this series.
Dice fudging is not good.
I don't want to name names, but we have one player that we're still dealing with that with.
What was the question?
No, we haven't dealt with them about it since.
Table that
Hey,
tells
hey,
you
hey,
you
hey,
don't
hey!
want
What
to
about
play with
this?
them.
What about this? How's that one?
I
How's that
said
for
people, not players, at the table.
We'll do at the table.
Oh,
GMs could have red flags too. It's not just players. Things
Railroading.
anyone at the table does that give you a sense.
red flags
Yes.
for the players? Okay.
For the people, the players or the GM.
No.
Player.
Things people at the table, no matter what side of the screen they're on, things that people at the table do that give you a sense of person for you to game with.
constantly railroading other people when they're trying to, initially, talk to the DM. Hey, is this something that I can do? And constantly interrupt. Versus throwing big ass hissy fits.
Yeah.
I got
or
one.
or the whole instance where hey I brought all this for everybody, and then somebody pulls out some stuff and they're like, oh, that's mine, you can't have none. Sharing's caring.
I feel like a substitute teacher. Did you bring enough for the rest of the class?
Actually, I did. Does that mean we can have it?
I have
Yes.
one that I used to do that I've gotten a lot better with.
Take
I'm a
everything.
tool sub. So long as you brought enough sunflower seeds for everyone, then fuck yeah, have at it.
Taking character interaction personally as a player.
Hashtag RIP the old Jade.
That was before I even stepped into Jade's shoes, man.
People who don't know how to quote unquote use their
How about this?
character sheets.
RIP KK.
Here's one for you.
Dead and gone, dead and gone.
Here's one
Yo.
for you. Individuals who don't know how to read their character sheet or use the book.
I'm a little forgiving if they're new, but if you've been playing for like say 2 years or more, and
Where do
it's
I
been
find that?
consistently just one or two systems, you should know at this point how to navigate that book and how to read that character sheet and how to fill
And
it out.
this is an example. We had somebody who played with us on a regular for a couple of years. Roll an initiative. Where's that at? It's on your paper. Where at? Under in the initiative box. Which one's that? Sound familiar?
It's up next to your hit points in your armor class.
Where's that at?
Ooh, the
You know
wind,
how much
bro.
HP you
The
got left.
wind. Okay, it's
Can
settled.
I demonstrate one?
Yeah.
Character sheet.
Yeah.
Character sheet gone.
Hissy fit.
How about motherfuckers who, when you ask them what they're doing in the go into a 20-minute monologue of every step they take because they don't want to share the spotlight with the other players.
Oh
I'm gonna take
yes.
16.
GMs do the same shit. I've seen GMs give a fucking 30-minute narration of walking downstairs. I'm like, come on, dude, you're overdoing it now.
The ones who like the lawyers who, even if the GM has said, like, hey, this is a house rule, I'm doing it this way for a specific reason. This is the specific reason.
that way.
Well, according to the book, you can't do that. Okay, but I'm the GM and this is my final ruling.
Rule 1, the rule of cool. Fuck off.
Yeah.
I am the DM, and
You
I
know what I
said,
like to do in those situations? I like to open the book up to the first few pages and point out the sentence in the book that states DMs can change, edit, or modify these rules as they see fit.
Not for real.
AKA the rule of cool.
It's in the rules.
It's in the book.
We got any more? I ain't heard that from Wilbur in a minute.
Yeah.
I don't think he's
Sorry.
had
He's
very
just
many
chilling
bad-
over there looking like David Dunn from Unbreakable.
Suicidal Queen put one in the comments that we haven't got to yet.
Oh, what's it say?
The people who are, well, I want to play this way, so you have to do what I want to do.
I mean, I think that's kind of covered in rules, lawyers, and railroaders.
Okay. I got one for you. Okay. The players who
Yeah.
try to contradict the DM. Those are the players I will not play with.
Like they try to correct
Great
you on
football
running
board
your own
game
game.
for like hours.
Would you say?
They try to correct you at running your own game.
Or the whole a player rolls a 20 and they on their attack roll and they want to do this, but then it's a how do you want to do this kind of thing, you know what I mean? And then they're like, well, and then they roll and it's a hit and it does damage, but it's not enough to be a serious or a fatal wound. And they're like, well, I want to cut this off. No, you can't do that. Well, you let it because it was a finishing blow. Well, it doesn't matter. You should let everybody. No, the finishing blow makes the
Difference.
yes. I had a
People
stutter of
Whoop,
aggravation.
whoop, shout out to Chris.
people who
The
are
ones who
consistently
are
late
half
or
in the game.
consistently cancel.
Or say, yeah, I'm coming. I'm on the way until like 2 hours until the session's over and then finally shows up.
Hey, check
Yeah.
out the latest comment.
Suicidal Queen says the ones who are half in the game.
Like, hey, combat's
Like
coming
people
in.
that are
Okay, let me finish this poker game on my phone.
Yeah. We know a person.
like no, they're normally the ones like that are normally in it to win it. They're in it when you're doing combat. But then
Showboaters.
anytime a story thread comes in is when they kind of tune out.
Combat junkies. Another bad thing
Hack
to
and
have.
slashers.
Yeah. Another bad trait for any player is showboating.
Wanting to be the biggest and the baddest.
No. People who are like, yeah, I did all this during combat, or yeah, we got all this stuff in the game because I bought it. Da 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 da. You also have to think if you go by the book for your starting gold, some classes get a shit ton of money. Others don't get hardly anything. So instead of showboating about it, yeah, this was a group effort. Yeah, this is beneficial for everybody.
Well,
People who
I mean, I think
consistently.
it's also important. I think it's also important to point out individually where players aid in the benefit of the group. And all I'm saying is, if only one player is responsible for that, fuck yeah, he deserves to showboat. Now, if other players played a very critical but different role in doing that same objective, but they also deserve it individually as that one player did.
Okay, here's yeah, I understand that. Here's my reference to it though. You have 4 or 5, fairly wealthy classes, and then you have, or just say you've got 3 wealthy classes and one class that they're not a wealthy class. You look at like druids and rangers and barbarians; they're not extremely wealthy. Okay, and then they would go into the shop. They're going to buy an item. Oh, I don't have enough for it, and this player buys it, and then every time they use it, yep, you got that because I bought that for you. You weren't able to do that unless I bought that for you.
I haven't encountered too many of those, like one or two. However, we are coming up on our 2 hour mark, so we are going to go ahead and knock out this last topic on the list and call it a day. And I think this is I tried to keep the most important, significant one for last episode, and we're going to do that again this episode. This one is communication. Why is it important to have good communication in the game group?
Lack of communication makes the game fall apart if you're not careful.
It causes one another to step on each other's toes.
If you're not communicating properly, like say you're trying to do like you've got to get into this area, get this specific item, and get it back to whoever. And if you're not communicating and working as a team, then you've got this person over here going, okay, well, I'm just gonna take it, and then this person over here is saying, okay, well, I'm checking for booby traps, and while they take it, they get set off in a fucking booby trap, and they're damn near dead.
1 second. I want to just take a minute to shout out Mid South Monster Official. If you want to go ahead and read those comments out, somebody, that'd be dope.
Miss South Monster Official. Alright, just two? Just starting to get into
Yep,
D&D.
so far.
With Chapter 17 hat. Whoop whoop. Scrolling through videos and found this MLC. MCL. Sorry, not MLC.
Mad Clown Love, motherfucker. Whoop whoop. Hey, if he's in the chat, I think that means he subscribed. So
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
in
yeah,
order
it might
to
be.
in the chat, you have to
Be
be
subscribed.
subscribed.
I normally set it to where you have to subscribe to. Now, it might not be the case. I might have overlooked it, but I normally do it that way. So, and if you're not subscribed,
Subscribe
what
if
are you
you're
waiting
not.
for, bro?
Right? And
Engage in
share to
future
your friends
videos.
and tell them to subscribe.
Yeah, I want to break 100 subscribers. That'll make me feel accomplished.
And then we're going to break 1,000
Anyway,
subscribers.
I got this when we hit the 50 mark.
do we have any examples of bad communication in one of our games versus good communication in one of our games? That way we can kind of more elaborately highlight
You
its
want to do bad or
importance.
good? I've got a good one,
How
or
about a
one
bad
for
one?
good with you involved.
I have a one with bad communication with every player of Pandora's Box.
All right, I'm gonna let Wilbur go first with bad communication, and then
All
I'll
right.
follow up with good communication.
So this is kind of calling out
Bet, let's do it.
several key players, and also a slight downfall on my behalf for not making it painfully obvious.
You don't have to if you're not
I'm
trying to
not
throw
name
shade.
dropping anyone because it's here and the people who know. But there was a certain NPC who was attacked when he wasn't needed to because of a lack of
Was
communication.
he shot in the face?
He was shot in the face. There was a lack of
We
Yes!
communication.
posted him out live.
We have, but I'm also
Shout
putting
out,
all of you
Greenie.
on for it. I'm also putting all of you on for it and myself, because he didn't understand with the communication that we gave him. And I will say that was kind of lacking on everyone's part, that this character was no longer possessed by whatever caused him to join into the fight originally.
I knew that.
Possession was
I was going to talk to him when Greenie shot him in the face. I knew that.
You
right.
knew
What
that,
he's
but
saying is we knew, but it wasn't communicated to Greenie
because he
well
never.
enough. So he thought that NPC was actually hostile.
Well, to be fair, Greenie was the only one who realized he was standing up to him. Because he was originally going to engage Greenie
SQ
directly.
said hashtag Greenie.
So I can say that's a lack of communication on most of our parts because I don't think he managed to. I don't think in character he caught the fact that this guy was no longer possessed.
Yeah.
And no one really communicated it to him.
And then after we did it, we all just kind of flipped out. Was like, why the
Yeah.
fuck did you do that?
Which was true. You had to
Man.
have another NPC party basically breathing down your necks at that point because that happened.
I think me and Suicidal Queen
All
had
right, Jade, you're out.
example of good communication goes back to our last Cyberpunk game where we actually had Nexus and Wilbur playing with us, and we had gone it didn't work out the way we wanted it to, but that wasn't because of lack of communication. The communication and the plan was very strong. We were going to pull off this heist. Everybody knew their roles. Everybody was working together. We had sat down and discussed it, figured out what we were doing, made sure everyone was on the same
I think
page.
we spent like 2 hours just planning before we even started.
Yeah.
So like the communication was on point. That's not why we failed.
Why did it fail?
I
touched the ship wrong and it flew away.
So I like to say that is a good example of good communication. Even though it was a bad end result, it was great communication.
It was one of those.
You guys kept that flow going throughout the rest of that adventure too.
Yeah, every move we made was,
Like
calculated.
anytime a new piece of information was brought up, it was shared with the rest of the party and certain NPCs.
Yeah.
Nobody was left in the
I
dark.
think we all
So
even stood together as a united front on no, we don't know that guy. He's not here.
Until we realized that they are not the guild.
Right. As soon as we realized they
and
were the good guys,
because
we're
you
like, oh,
did that, he claimed you.
shit, we even stood as a united front when we were in separate individual interrogations.
Surprisingly.
We kept waiting for somebody to fuck us over.
Anyway, we've hit 2 hours. Let's go ahead and do our wrap up. You know what we didn't do today?
What did we not do? We did not shout out a lot of people except Seth Skorkowski.
Shout out to Ouija Mac.
Shout out to Humble Among.
Shout out to Brennan Lee Mulligan. We mentioned Fantasy High quite a few times.
Shout out to ICP.
Shout out, shout out to everybody in the fucking chat. Shout out to the Hellraisers. Shout out to the Legacies.
We love our legacies. We got one right here,
Chilling.
like a villain.
Yeah, really. Got that black hoodie and everything. That's the best one.
Yeah, I think that
Any
covers everything.
last comments before we sign off?
I
last
cannot
comment.
wait to do live game next Saturday. That's my last comment.
This was a point that I was not able to speak on due to a time constraint, which I will get out really quick. A red flag, in my opinion, both DMs, players, over aggression towards other people at the table, as well as unneeded aggression towards NPCs.
Yeah, we don't stand for that shit here at LHRPG.
You rein that shit in.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sir.
I've done a lot better. But I think
Anyway,
that covers everything, and I cannot wait to do this live game on Saturday.
y'all stay tuned for that. Next week, we'll be doing our first actual play. We'll be running through The Haunting for Call of Cthulhu using the 7th edition rules. And we'll be playing with Jade and either Greeny or Wilbur, depending on scheduling.
Yep.
Probably Greeny.
So,
Wilbur said probably Greeny.
Odds are not looking good in my favor. I'll have to wait.
anyway,
It's a
if that happens, Wilbur,
I
if
was
that
gonna say it's
happens,
a 2-player scenario. So if Greeny ends up playing instead of Wilbur, then I can run that for Wilbur and Suicidal Queen.
right, SQ's already played it.
Oh shit.
And if he ends up wanting to watch the stream, he can't play it. But I do have a secondary scenario that I ran that Nexus has played in that Wilbur and you could do the next time.
Okay.
Know what? Listen, I can solo that. Right now.
Are you willing to do it 1 player?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, I'll run it for him 1 player.
All right, so you can't watch the stream next week.
I won't watch the stream.
Which means when he and I are doing that, you gotta be.
Okay.
I'm gonna probably be asleep.
Okay.
All right. All right, shout out. That's gonna be a thing. I can't wait to hear how that goes.
Right.
Oh, you could record that and put it up on Sadistic Circus.
We could.
Good.
Because that is a horror themed game, which matches my channel.
So playthrough.
Mhm. All right, that's gonna happen. Let's make that happen. All
Yes.
right, so until next week. We good?
Whoop, whoop.